Alrighty, we found 35. I just made like a 10-minute long video, and after I found the highway, realized it stopped recording about halfway through, so we're just going to start all over. We found 35. Going through Hillsboro and Covington, real small towns, probably 1A high schools. It's pretty cool. I love those kind of places. They had a lot of sunflower fields, huge sunflower fields. And so I'm not really sure what they use that for, to be quite honest, but I know sunflower oil is used in a lot of food type stuff, preparation. They stick it in some processed foods. They might use it in ethanol, but I might have just pulled that out of my ass as well. So a lot of stuff has happened, not necessarily worldly events or anything bad since last time I made a real video. I went to the biggest event was I went to a week-long horsemanship clinic, which was really cool. It's Chris Cox Horsemanship in Mineral Wells, Texas, and the lady I work for, who owns all the cutting horses and I take care of them on a pretty regular basis, sent me there, paid for it. Our horse or trailer or truck, because I don't have a big ass diesel. I just drive the Sierra, so got to drive 3,500 for a week, which is nice, especially when you have a 30-foot horse trailer on the back of it. She's doing all right with money wise. She got some pretty nice things that I get to use for a week. It's awesome. So while I was there, learned how to ride better in general, ride cutting horses better, and, learn how to train them, and, get them to do what you want them to do at a performance level. So that was pretty great. So I was taking the horse that I ride. He's pretty decorated in terms of, winning competitions and things. Won them a couple of things. And money as well, but he's a pretty good breeding horse. He's actually a gelding, but they saved a lot of his sperm. Cryogenically frozen, I think that's what it's called. Deep freeze, basically. So they sell that. But speaking of working, I'm driving past Cleburne, which is right outside of Eagan, Texas. Cleburne is the big city here, which is not saying much. It's a town of about 20,000, I think. And outside of that is a town called Eagan, E-G-A-N. And I used to work there, to take care of this lady's land out there. Typically work for women who don't have husbands, because that's the demand. If you have a husband, you don't need to hire a guy like me. So, the lady I work for lived out here. Anyways, we're getting pretty close to home, actually. So not too far. And what else? Oh, speaking of this cutting horse clinic I went to, real eye-opening experience. Learned so much that week. We rode for probably 10 hours a day, and so you got a lot of time in the saddle, which is always good. You can always get better at that. At the end of the week, they offered me a job at the place, Chris Cox Horsemanship Clinic, which is a huge ranch. They breed and train there. He's got probably 100, 150 horses. He's got a lot. So I'm going to take him up on that job offer. I'm going to work for an hour, ride for an hour, and learn from a pretty well-respected horse trainer and cutting horse rider. So I'm excited about that. I don't know, his dip's been in for a while, but even though the movies haven't been that, or the videos haven't been that long. So I'm taking it out. I'm still talking. Anyways, so we did that. They offered me a job there, and I'm going to take him up on that offer. The only thing I have is he's a real douchebag. When you're riding, when he's training you, he's a real douchebag. And then when you get done, he apologizes. He's a real nice guy. It's just, it stops with somebody's calling you a pussy when you're riding. So, he's good at what he does. You can't really argue with him. So I'm excited about that. He's going to be a better horseman, all that. It teaches life skills as well, so I'm real excited about it. Other than that, I already talked to you about Hannah in the first video. That's kind of a cool, kind of a complicated situation. It's really tough to explain. But I mentioned earlier, we'll probably end up getting married. I mean, if I stuck around with a girl for 8 years, I don't see her a whole lot. Talk every day like we were dating. So, it's just how it works. I mean, even when we both have significant others, when I have a girlfriend, or I use that term loosely, when I have a girlfriend, or when she has a boyfriend, we still talk to each other. And it's odd because we talk about how we trade our significant others for each other. It's a real weird situation, to be quite honest. I mean, you can call us swingers, I guess. I don't know. She wants to be a teacher. Thinking, when she gets done with school, she's going to Sam Houston. She gets done with her bachelor's degree and come live with me when I finish up either my law degree or my master's. Whatever I do, I'd definitely go into graduate school. So that'd be cool. Yeah, that's the situation there. Most people don't understand it on the outside looking in. That's that. What else? It's been so long since I made a video. Stuff's happened. Oh, I took a cool trip. Not sure if I told you all about this. Probably didn't. But I took a trip at the beginning of the summer with my mother, which I was real apprehensive about because my mother and I don't really get along. Normally we don't. And so we took a trip to the East Coast, but Virginia and Pennsylvania. So Virginia's East Coast. I don't know. Pennsylvania does touch water, I'm pretty sure. So we went there, but what we did is we went with this group, and this group plans out all your meals, make sure you're staying in good hotels. Real convenient, we didn't have to worry about anything. And the tour guide is actually a professor. He works one semester at VMI, one semester at West Point, and he used to be the chief military historian of the armed services. He was a two-star general, kind of a big deal. Or he still is a two-star general. You don't really ever lose that rank. But what he does is he takes his kids, the future of the American Armed Forces, takes them to these Civil War battlefields and teaches them about these tactics that the guys use. Because there's some brilliant commanders in the Civil War. Robert E. Lee, PGT, Beauregard, General Longstreet. So many good things. That's all Confederacy. You got Grant, who's pretty smart. McClellan was smart, he was just a pussy. Liked to wait a lot. And that's why he got fired a couple times. But anyway, so he teaches them, he uses his laser pointer, brings up 3D hologram diagrams of the battlefield, and it's really cool. Anyway, so when he's teaching us about it, he does almost the same thing, probably dumbs down the language a little bit for us civilians. And, he does almost the same thing, takes in these huge towers that look like Forest Service towers, and you can see the whole battlefield. He's pointing out things on his laser pointer, like this is where so-and-so went, blah, blah, blah. This is the, Hood's Brigade, which was made up of all Texans in a regiment of, it was like 4 Texas regiments and a regiment of Georgians. He kind of focused on that for us, which was nice. And actually, there's a cool quote by General Lee. This is my state pride coming out. The back of my PFG right now is actually a big Texas. My favorite shirt. Anyways, I'm pretty proud of my state. Anyways, he's talking about this cool quote by General Lee is, I would trade 1,000 men for 100 Texans. So, I got take a little state pride in that. So that was cool. Learn about all that. We went to Gettysburg, which is, if you haven't ever been to Gettysburg, you gotta go. It's an amazing site. They set it up. The Park Service did a wonderful job at it. Making it a great historical area. And the cool thing is, you can actually take your horses to Gettysburg. Ride around. There's horse trails all around it. You can look at things. They have monuments that each state built for their respective units. So that's pretty cool. The Confederacy lives on hard in Virginia. You talk about rebel flag wavers. Look at Virginia and Pennsylvania as well. I mean, you think there'd be a lot of Union guys in Pennsylvania. No, you see tailgates on trucks that are the rebel flag, and certain units they have bumper stickers for. There's almost a southern accent in Pennsylvania. It's really, really weird. It's kind of trippy. You think Pennsylvania should be below the Mason-Dixon line. But it was cool to see that, and we saw that. So that was our trip. We went to Sharpsburg, we went to the 1st and 2nd Manassas, which is the same place, and Gettysburg. We went to Harper's Ferry, which was a living history. Everybody dresses up. The town is still the same. Harper's Ferry was really, really cool. And Union soldiers there. It was the largest surrender of American forces until the Bataan Death March. When MacArthur left the Philippines. There's like 12,500 Union soldiers surrendered to the Confederates. And what's cool about that time is, instead of, shipping most of their guys off to prison camps, I mean, you heard about Andersonville, some pretty terrible prison camps during the Civil War, but most of the time, they would just make you sign a piece of paper that said, on my honor, I agree never to pick up arms against the Confederacy again, or vice versa for the Union. On my honor, I agree never to pick up arms against the Union again. So, honor is actually a really big deal back then. People held their word. If they got captured and signed a parole, most of them, not all of them, most of them would not fight for fear of tarnishing their honor. And, I mean, that's something I miss about today. That'd be cool if we had that around America today. People respecting themselves to a higher degree, and their reputation, their honor, how people view them. This backstabbing shenanigans I'm not a big fan of. So that was cool. They didn't absolutely need prison camps. I mean, they used them for higher ranking officers that they pretty sure would go back, stuff like that. Yeah, it was cool to learn about all that. It's also really weird to see how close the South was to winning. Sharpsburg was a real you Northerners might call it Antietam. Sharpsburg, Maryland was a pretty pivotal point in the war for both sides. Lincoln needed to win a battle to gain the respect of the populace. He needed to win the people over, his voters. And General Lee needed to win a battle to get the the English to fight on his side. Because the English kind of sided with the Southerners because we supplied the cotton for their huge textile industry. So that was pretty cool to learn about that, to learn how close we were. But anyways, it was a draw at Antietam. It was a tactical draw, or not, it was a tactical loss for the Confederacy because General Lee pulled back. He didn't have as many troops to spare as the Union, but the Union lost close to 5,000 or 6,000 more men than the South lost, which is they had more men to spare. So that's what happened there. Think about it. If we had won Sharpsburg, if the South had won Sharpsburg and the South had won Gettysburg, we might be living in a divided nation right now. It's really odd to think about that. Part of me says I kind of wish the South would have won. And, I'm not one of those guys that lives in the past. I just wish, the values that the South had. I'm not any sort of pro-slavery racist guy, but I think that the way of life and the values that the South invested in is just something that we should have kept around today. So that's that. There's enough about the Civil War. I guess that's all I can talk about right now. I'm trying to keep it under 15 minutes. So everybody have a great day, and God bless.